I came across the story of James Pratt and John Smith, who were hanged in 1835 for having sex with one another, when I was writing another book about gay Tory MPs in the 1930s, and I was investigating the law as it had applied over the years. And what was extraordinary for me was that these were two working-class men. Nobody had been hanged at Newgate for more than 2 years at all. Lots of other people had got away with sex between men, including two members of Parliament in 1833, just 2 years prior. But these two men were hanged.
And you think the class was a crucial factor? Undoubtedly.
In fact, the magistrate who referred them or committed them for trial at the Old Bailey wrote to seek a reprieve for them once they'd been sentenced to death, saying, listen, this is the only crime in the country where rich people can carry on because they can afford to pay for privacy, whereas poor men can't.
And you've got this phrase, it takes a whole country to hang a man. You write about the hangings being a sort of money spinner, you know, with the pie makers raking it in.
Well, and the hangman himself sold bits of the noose. I mean, that was a common part of what people did, and people thought that it had special powers to save you from illness and so on.
And the idea is that everybody was complicit, from the man on the street to the king.
You needed the crowds to demand a hanging. You needed a criminal justice system that didn't give fairness to the rich and the poor alike. You needed a political system that wasn't prepared to change the law. It didn't change the law for another 25 years afterwards. And when it changed the law, when it got rid of the death penalty for homosexuality, it wasn't even mentioned in Parliament that that's what was happening.
Yeah. I mean, you talk about in the 1830s there was a sort of moral panic going on. I wonder whether you think there's a similar moral panic now around trans rights, for example, and, you know, the culture war stuff.
I do worry today. I mean, you've still got countries like Burundi, where the president only recently said that homosexuals should be stoned. And you've got pastors in the United States of America saying that homosexuals should be taken out and shot in the head. And then when you translate that into the British system, of course, I was born... When I went to university, the age of consent for gay sex was 21. For heterosexual people was 16. We've moved a million miles in this country. I'm so glad I'm able to wear a wedding ring because I'm in a civil partnership.
And you were the first person to celebrate that partnership in the Houses of Parliament.
Physically in the Palace of Westminster. Yeah. So that is all brilliant, but we don't get to keep those liberties just because they're there. So I think there's still a lot of work to do to protect the freedoms that we have here. I hate it when politicians refer to an epidemic of trans people. I mean, what's that about? It's turning other people into some kind of evil contagion, and that's just not right. It's not treating people equally.
Well, when you're not writing books, you are obviously playing a crucial role in the House of Commons, and you had a very central part in this last week's row over the Gaza debate. You filibustered during Therese Coffey's 10-minute rule bill. Did you feel a little bit grubby at the time, being part of that kind of backroom deal, playing your part?
I'm not proud of the whole day, or for that matter, my own particular role in it. I mean, I was painfully conscious that lots of colleagues on both sides of the House were very nervous about how the day was going to play out. When I was a Hackney councillor many moons ago, we used to take all the amendments during the day. And oddly enough, if it had been a government motion, we would have taken all the amendments as well, if the Speaker thought that they were in order. And that's kind of where I wanted us to get to that day. I thought that that was the most sensible thing, so that everybody could say, look, all right, that's your version of what we should vote for. This is what I've wanted to vote for, and I can get my name against it.
Do you think the rules should be changed to allow that in future?
Yes, completely. And in fact, I've argued for some time that one of the things we should do is we need a complete revision of the standing orders. The way we do our business in Parliament is terrible. I mean, we brought ourselves terribly into disrepute, I think, on Wednesday.
But were you put up to that filibuster, or did you take it upon yourself?
A bit of both, if I'm honest. I think the whole day was grubby, right. And we need a system which doesn't allow people to manipulate the rules to be able to get what they want.
Which you did. Yeah. Anyway...
I'm not saying yes, by the way. That was mine.
But can the Speaker survive all this, do you think?
A, he should survive, and B, I'm sure he will survive. It's a really bad look for governments to try and get rid of speakers. I've said this in the past. In theory, any government can always get rid of the Speaker because it's got a majority in the House of Commons.
Though. This is the SNP really leading the charge.
You're asking me to comment on what other people in other political parties might do, and I have a view, which is that I think Lindsay did the right thing. I think Lindsay is a good speaker. I think he should remain in post.
Chris Bryant, thanks very much.
Thank you.